following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
My name is Jasmine, and I am a recovering drug addict.
My name is Richie Farrell, a.k.a. the Old White Junkie.
And we are your hosts for Exit Team Nashua.
Our mission is to bring recovery into the living room.
Last year, over 72,000 Americans died of an accidental overdose.
That's almost 200 Americans every single day.
We will bring you guests with real-life experiences with addiction and recovery. Welcome to Exit Team Nashua. Hi, welcome to Exit Team Nashua. My name is Jasmine, and I am your host. For those of you tuning in, and this is your first time, Exit Team is a show that takes recovery right into your living room. I'm a person in long-term recovery. My co-host is?
I'm Bobby.
Bobby.
Yeah, or were you asking if I'm in recovery?
It doesn't really matter, whatever you want to say.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I'm Bobby, and I'm also in recovery.
Okay, cool. So today we had a huge victory in mine and Bobby's relationship, and I would just like to share it with the audience. So I was coming from work, and I'm not rich, I'm not a millionaire, so I have to work, and this isn't all that I do with my life, unfortunately.
Weak.
And I know, weak. And I got held up, and so I gave Bobby the opportunity to just go ahead and shoot without me. And Bobby decided to wait. And
Can't do it without you.
it's amazing.
Can't do it without you.
Because I probably would have shot without you.
Selfish and self-centered.
It's
the root of our trouble.
You know what? Like, I got to do things that are right, not maybe what would be done to me.
Oh, there you go.
It's okay.
And that's
it's
why
okay.
you're a better person than I.
Yeah.
It was a huge victory, though. I was really proud of you. When I was driving in, I was like, wow, he's going to wait.
Really?
Yeah.
You're surprised?
I was. I'm not lying.
That hurts.
Yeah. I saw the text and I was like, wow, that was nice.
I know, right?
That's like saying, like, yay, Bobby, you tied your shoes. Good job.
Okay, well, that's where my expectations are, so.
Awesome. Fantastic.
It's a happy story.
Me and Bobby fight like brother and sister, so. Who are you?
My name's Pat.
Pat
Cronin.
Pat Cronin.
Hey.
Okay, where are you from?
I'm from Boston.
Boston. Okay.
I'm also in recovery. Is that what you're asking?
Sure.
I
Hey,
am in recovery.
She's throwing these weird questions out.
Yeah.
you can answer whatever question you want.
They're super vague.
I recently started doing tarot cards, and so like everything is just like left to your own discretion. Whatever you think I imply by it.
Well, I'm happy that I'm here.
Thanks
for having me on.
Okay, so now that I made that awkward,
I know.
Yeah.
Do you want me to host the show now too?
I mean, Pat, this is your show,
yeah,
right?
it is.
So from Boston, actually Boston, suburb
I'm
outside?
really from Boston.
Okay,
Because I'm
that's
from West Springfield. We're from West Springfield, but they said Boston 10 minutes ago.
No, exactly.
I'm from West Roxbury, which is a town inside
I still
Boston.
don't get Boston.
So like
Boston still doesn't make
Boston
sense
police,
to me.
right? The Boston police cars are actually in my town, so you know that I'm truly from Boston. That's
Okay.
when you start seeing like Revere and like those kind of things.
Is Revere
Like,
Boston?
No.
Okay, I don't understand.
Revere's right next to
Can we get
Boston.
a map after the show so you guys can show me what Boston is?
Okay, so
I think of Massachusetts as Boston.
okay, so
Fair. It's
Yeah.
fair.
so you're from up here though, right?
Yes.
Okay.
well,
and
I'm
you're from Boston.
Yeah.
So I grew up in a little town outside of Bridgeport, which is
Connecticut.
like yes, so like New York. How do I know Massachusetts more than you?
You really don't know Massachusetts.
I don't know
And you
that.
work in
Okay,
Massachusetts.
stop it. Stop.
This is bad.
Like people ask me questions, I'm like, I don't know. Google it.
Yeah.
Google it. Like if I need to like set up like transport or something like that, I just Google. I literally don't know the geography of Massachusetts at all whatsoever.
It's okay.
So do you not know road names either?
No, absolutely not. I know how to drive. And that's it. That's what I know how to do. And I know how to type
Good
things.
or
Oh,
So like if
depends on who you ask.
she has 100% survival rate.
That is true. That's
I mean, that's
true.
pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, you know, all things considered.
This is true.
All right. So, Pat, I'm sure you came on purely just to talk to me and Jasmine.
I
right?
love you guys. That's why I'm here.
I know, right?
Let's
But there's
talk
like
recovery.
Yeah, there's like a deeper meaning, right?
Yeah,
of
yeah,
why
of
you
course.
come on. So like, what's a reason that you're just like, you know what? It's a Wednesday. You know, I have. You just said you have a newborn now.
I do.
And
You're a dad?
I am a dad.
Oh my God.
I know,
wow,
right?
don't sound so. I have faith in you.
She knows I'm a dad too, but she wanted to just say it again.
Wow, that was
Yeah.
mean.
It's all right. Jasmine's on a roll. She's been sick the past few days,
Thank-
so she's
thank
not
you.
herself.
Okay.
I also had to research.
So yeah,
that
I had
before coming
to
in
arrange
here,
some
so-
stuff to make this actually happen because of my daughter and
And you live
daycare
a pretty
and-
decent amount away. What, 2 hours or so?
It took us a little over an hour and a half.
Okay.
Yeah. But I do a lot of this kind of stuff just because there's such a stigma around addiction.
I was gonna say, didn't you get like Recovery Advocate of the Year or something?
2000, I was nominated, but I didn't actually.
Okay,
get
nominated
it.
for Recovery
Yeah,
Advocate of
but
the
it was
Year.
the national organization, so someone like
Okay.
out West got it or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, it was
So
in the
which
top
tells
3.
me that you stay in the trenches.
Yeah.
And why is this so meaningful to you?
I mean, quite honestly, like when I first got sober, people were dying, but it wasn't at this rate.
Yeah.
And as my time went on in sobriety, maybe like a couple of years into it, it started getting worse. But I was like so like gung ho into like recovery that I started just having conversations with families that really started bothering me about like them losing their kids. So I just kind of started getting that attitude of like, why isn't like anything on the bigger picture being done? And the more and more I started looking into it, it was like all about people being like shameful and people like stigma around addiction, people not wanting to talk about it. So how is anything going to change, especially at like a state level or national level, policy wise, if no one's going to talk about it? So I said, listen, everybody knew I was a junkie. Everybody knew I was a drug addict. So I'm not going to hide this. Like, you know, whether you like me or you don't, I know I'm sober now. So like, I'm going to try to use that as a platform that like everybody knew me in this like awful state and the kind of stuff I did. And then now,
Do you have any before pictures?
yeah,
I would love to see them.
yeah,
I got rid of
actually,
all mine.
if you go like online and look at some of the like news articles I've done down in Boston for like whatever WHDH or you know CBS, I know the Lester Holt show when they came into Northeast and did an interview on me, they asked for that kind of stuff, so I had to actually go back and like see like my brother's wedding. I was in my brother's wedding, not good. And I had some crazy. I used to have like the blonde frosted tips. You can laugh.
So
You
wait,
can laugh.
hold on now.
Yes. Here we go.
No.
We can talk about this for an hour.
No. Okay, so what year was this though?
It was actually yesterday.
Because we have a mutual friend that had frosted tips in 2016. I think it's a power move.
2016.
I think somebody should bring back
mine was in like
frosted
mine was in like probably like the late 90s, 2000.
Okay, so that's acceptable.
Yes.
You know, it was part of the time.
2016. I didn't even know
did
that you could do it still.
Did you have like a puka shell necklace? I feel like you were that kind of guy.
I was. Yeah. So I know it's hard to. I hope that it's hard to picture me like that from before, but it's funny that you say that because I did have to kind of go back and get some pictures for them, and I looked at some of them and I was like, I looked like I was dying. Like I was dying, but like literally I looked like very unhealthy. So yeah, so I just you know, I started doing stuff like that, but it was more so that I felt like, because I mean, I got sober, you know, 12-step programs and stuff like that too. And I think that, you know, there was just like a lot of misinformation and misunderstanding on what I could do in the public and what I can't.
Right.
And like, I know what I can and what I can't do. I don't think enough people knew that. And I just said, I'm just going to, you know, take a leap of faith and do some stuff. And then the more and more I started doing it, I say, you know, wow, there's a lot of other people that can do this too.
There's like a pretty big movement going on these days. There's a lot of people. You brought up an interesting point, stigma. And so what I know of you is I only know you present day. I didn't know you back then, but I'm honored and privileged to know a little bit of your story. And so what I know of is that you didn't come from a home that someone would think that you would end up being a drug addict. Whereas someone like myself, I became a product of my environment. My mom was a drug addict. You know, I was introduced to that lifestyle at a very young age. So to touch on stigma, like what happened, like where in your life, like bring us back to like before you started using, like where in your life did it, because there's a lot of shame and like, oh, like I hear, so I'm writing this big blog right now on like Narcan and like how Narcan is beneficial because there's a lot of controversy around like Narcan being like a negative thing and like these junkies and this and that. And like, so people think like, oh, like these like junkies and like there's losers and they're not meant to be anything in it. And in my case, like that's kind of how I grew up and how I felt about myself always. But in your case, you grew up in a very different environment.
And I think to the blog thing, when you finish that, will you send it to me so I can put it on my website?
Yes, absolutely.
I think that's another reason why I kind of did this too, because I had that misconception of that like drug addicts and alcoholics only came from like the background you talk about. You know what I mean? So growing up in, West Roxbury, a town in Boston where it was, middle, upper, I guess that's what you consider. I went to private Catholic schools. I think that a lot of people, I think, have honestly died that were in my position because they think that like that they couldn't talk about that, or they were so judged that like they didn't seek help because of where they came from, what school they went to, and these poor kids died because of that.
Right.
So I think that when you see,
you think it's harder for you. I never even thought of that.
well, people think that people, and I'm not saying we're not rich or anything like that, but if you come from a decent family or a wealthy family or in a nice town or stuff like that, you can automatically just have all these resources and you just get sober and all that. No, I think it's opposite.
Yeah, like you don't want to bring shame to your family name.
Yeah, and you have to like,
and nobody talks about where you went camping for a week.
Yeah,
or
and
a month
you're so looked down upon. Like I know that like my street in the town I grew up in, it was like I used to have to like walk out of my house and like I knew everyone was looking at me, but I looked not good. And like in a town like that, it was so embarrassing and shameful
because people had different expectations of you. Okay.
High expectations, and I think that's another piece of like where I went to school and then high school and then college, and it was like, oh, this kid can't become a drug addict, like all this kind of nonsense. So
there's so much pressure to this ideal that you must live up to that isn't true to who you are.
And when I did internal work on myself, I always talk about that. Like I was trying to be someone that I didn't want to be for a long time before sobriety, or maybe before using. Like I was this, like I didn't want to be this person, and it's not my parents' fault. It's nothing like that. It's just like the product of the environment that I grew up in. That this expectation was this, and that's just not.
And it's painful.
Yeah,
it's crazy because I'm the complete opposite end of the spectrum, where people always told me I'd be nothing, and that was painful. And our pain is the same, and we're complete opposite ends of the spectrum.
And to have this like misunderstanding that like, because I had Sunday dinners, because I pitched for baseball teams and my dad was there all the time, that like you can't become a drug addict. Like but we didn't have the education back then. Like things are different now. Like
the idea of a drug addict was you're homeless, you're living. It's not I'm sniffing pills in my room.
Right.
It's not even like that anymore. I mean, like 14-year-olds are shooting fentanyl now.
Did you see the district judge down in like North Carolina died of an overdose?
Yeah, I posted on my page. I saw that, and I was just like, I mean, I've seen crazy stories, but like when I read that, I was like,
it's everywhere,
a judge.
Dude. It's everywhere.
A judge.
And you want to talk about stigma, right? Like he's a judge. He probably felt like he couldn't reach out for help because of who he is in the public eye, and right, and like and what a perfect thing to realize that like this disease doesn't care who you are, where you come from, and what you're going through it, and what an advocate that you are to be a person for that, to be like, it's okay, whoever you are, whatever you're going through, like there's resources there for you, and we love you. Like that, I don't know, this is all just assumption, but I feel like if I was a judge, I'd feel like I couldn't reach out.
Yeah, no,
you know?
You feel like your job's on the line.
Stigma,
all this
right?
Kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like there's
if he has an illness that needs to be treated, he should be able to. And he didn't. Now, obviously, we don't know, but like that's a pretty fair assumption because we hear these stories all the time.
2 weeks ago, we had so New Hampshire has a movement called the Recovery Friendly Workforce, and so what they're doing is they're going into facilities and trying to get them to become recovery friendly. That means like whether one of your employees is struggling from substance use, they can come to you and know that they won't get terminated, or like that they will still like be able to get because some jobs you do have to let people go because. You know what I mean? It could be harmful.
Of course. Yeah.
But that they'll be supported through that, you know what I mean, to help end stigma, and also what they're doing is they're trying to encourage facilities to hire people in recovery to help end stigma. And I thought that was a beautiful thing.
It is. Those are the kind of things that like, obviously we know we have treatment out there and we need this and we need that, but those kind of like other like type of services that like don't get talked about enough is huge for people like us because like you go to detox, you get treatment. Like, yeah, we can't stay sober without other services.
You learn how to stand, but who's going to help you walk?
Right.
Exactly. And it's okay, so I can go to a treatment center 18 times, right? But if I don't have support when I leave, like, I'm done.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not even just, okay, there's like recovery meetings I can go to, there's IOPs I can go to. Like, I need to feel like I'm going back to an environment that supports me, right? And that starts at the community level, that starts at the family level, and like a lot of times that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, they need purpose. You need to treat the whole person.
And we need support.
Within time too, of course. People always try and rush back to those things, and it's like, whoa.
Well, and for this stuff to happen too, it usually has to happen on a statewide level in regards to like government. So this is the reason why I think that like certain language we use and like how we approach politicians or how we approach, the way that we speak about recovery, because these services and different types of, recovery related, instances that we want to change, those are the people, they have all the power.
Right. If I
know
walk
what I
in there
mean?
with a street mentality, which I definitely have, I'm from the streets.
Yeah,
like
no,
they're just gonna dismiss everything I say. But if I walk in there and like I have like a very valid reason and speech for them, and I'm educated in what I say, they're gonna hear me out.
I just want to people know how I was, and I ended up on the streets. I wasn't, I didn't like stay living in my parents' household as an active heroin addict. At some point, they got help, and they said, "Okay, there's the door." So like I did, and it's not a fun feeling living out there in that kind of.
They figured it out.
Yeah. But what I learned is like I can still, when I'm just hanging around with you and people like off camera, the street will come out in me, but I'm just kind of sitting around. But when like
Pat's Pat.
It happens.
From how you were like being homeless, shooting heroin, and stealing and all that kind of stuff to now, certain people need to see how we've changed.
Yeah.
And whether that's, okay, you got married, you have a baby, or you have a job, you pay taxes, all that kind of stuff. We're not asking people to be fake. Because the point is you are supposed to change when you're in recovery, right?
I was about to say, like if we want to get these policies changed, all that kind of stuff, let's show them what recovery actually is, right? And recovery is just like you said, you're part of your family, you're paying taxes, you're being, I don't want to say what's expected,
Right.
but you're being the person that you want to show, hey, this is possible, that we can take this person that was homeless, shooting dope, stealing everything, to you're speaking to government, state officials.
You can honor your truth, whatever it is. Like,
Yep.
Pat's a very successful businessman, family man. I live at home alone with my snake. Whatever. But I love that. I wouldn't change that.
I've been sober a while. I lived alone in sobriety too. I lived in a sober house for 2 years. So how long you been sober?
2.5 years. Almost 3 years. 3 years and a couple days.
I wasn't hosting a show at 2.5 years sober. Like, she actually has a way better life than I did at 2.5 years sober.
I'm also not interested in a relationship. It's so crazy, right? Like, do you think like early recovery, but like I'm just not interested in that. Like, I'm just like set on like self-discovery and exploring self and like going over all these obstacles, and like literally like my snake is like my man, dude. He's the
Listen,
best.
I'm an animal guy. You don't have to tell me.
See,
I'm not a
snake guy. I like dogs.
But it makes her unique.
It does.
She's just chilling. She chills with her snake like it's a dog.
Snakes, they creep me out. They creep me out, dude. Like, I don't like the woods.
Nah.
I don't like the woods.
You come meet Zen.
Yeah.
He's very docile and gentle.
What's his name again?
Zen.
I'm not. I'll play with a dog all day.
Yeah.
Like, I'll play fetch with a dog.
He lets you pat his
Are you
head.
a dog person
I am
too?
a dog person.
You're an everything person.
Yes. Yeah.
Just more.
Yeah. Right?
More God.
Yeah.
Get in here.
No, dogs.
He lets
Dogs.
He lays on your lap and he lets you pat his head.
Dogs.
Okay.
Dogs. They freak me out. Yeah. They freak me out. They don't have eyes.
But out of anybody to get one, it would be you. So.
Yeah, he's the man. Yeah, he's good.
You know what? Live your truth.
Right, and that's it, right? Then that's exactly it. Like I'm living my truth, and I'm a better person, and I can honor my truth. Like even though my outside things look different, like I'm still guided by spiritual principles, and like causing harm to someone isn't okay with me. Do I still cause harm? Yes, of course, but not intentionally. Right. And when I become aware that I've caused harm, I go back and I write that. Mm-hmm. It doesn't feel okay to my soul today. And those are the things that guide me, and that's what makes me an asset to society today, and that's what people need to see. Like,
that's the other thing I tell people, like, especially the ones that are like not even in it, but like new or can't, like they get sober and then don't. I'm like, if you understand how much you can crush it in this world sober, and I'm not even like material things, of course, everyone likes those, but it's just like to not wake up and have that like obsession or feel dope sick.
Yeah.
Like I'm telling you right now, like, and it's just to give that hope to these people. Like when they see you at like the State House or they see you like the event that we did.
Yeah.
There's like hopeless
I
people
loved
like
that
going,
event.
those guys used to be messes and we're not.
Yeah.
You know?
No, it's that thing. It's like when I'll say it and you guys will both like understand it, but I get to wake up today not angry that I woke up today.
Yes, I do get that.
You know what I mean? And like normal people
Yeah.
are like, that's weird.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah,
like, and
They don't get it.
no, but the fact that I wake up like, nice, I woke up. Like
Yeah.
that's just huge. That's enough right there.
Yeah.
Material stuff that could whatever, but like the fact that I wake up happy is pretty cool.
And every day, obviously, like, I mean, I'm pretty much happy a lot. You look like you're always happy too. But listen, I have bad days. Like, there's days I don't sleep because of the baby, and there's a lot of things, but I still look and go, I just need to take a picture of myself 15 years ago and be like, come on, dude. Like, anything is better than that life. You know what I mean? And if you put the work in, like I said, I'm still 12-step, whatever.
Yep.
But they taught me to come outside the box.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
what I think is I just try to get people like, hey, you don't have to do what we do,
Yeah.
but I bet you'll probably feel better if you do.
And whatever you choose, I love you.
Yeah,
But, like,
no doubt. But
Yeah.
you can make a huge. We can
it's
make
your journey.
we can
I'll be
make-
there to help walk you
Right.
through it, but like I can't push you through
Yeah.
it.
I spend my life's
We
pretty
can make
rad.
such a this movement, and I always hear people talk about it, like what they did for the AIDS movement like years ago. I think Richie always talks about it. Like we're doing this for recovery, and we need to keep rallying people to help us. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not getting any better either. Overdose rates are up, and for the state of New Hampshire, I'll just talk about New Hampshire because that's where I reside. But like,
That's the
so
only place
we
you know, obviously.
we
but-
started all like the hub and spokes, and there's a really big MAT movement, and so there was a drop in overdoses at the beginning of the year, and fatal overdoses, and people got very excited. They were like, yeah, but since then they've skyrocketed. You know what I mean? Like for us as a state collectively, like it's not getting any better.
And I think obviously fentanyl is playing a huge role in that nothing's heroin anymore. And like people are asking me, they're like, well, with all this
Well,
new stuff-
fentanyl also, so buprenorphine doesn't block fentanyl. So with all the hub and smokes and everything we have going on, like harm reduction, and we are saving lives, absolutely, but that doesn't block fentanyl.
So I think if you circle back to try to figure out research like what's happening, because people are always coming up to me because I speak in schools too. They're like, if there's so much recovery going on and there's so many treatment centers opening now, why is the rates? And from what I see and like looking at
Dislocation theory.
it's more people are using though. So like I think we got
and
more.
why are more people using?
The education is not starting at the right
Well, not
level,
only
too.
that, dislocation theory, society suggests that like we're also disconnected from one another. How many hours a day are you in your phone? How many hours a day am I in my emails? How many
that's
hours?
true. I'm sure that's true.
That-
So disconnected from self, disconnected from others, disconnected from a higher power, whatever that may be, disconnected from the earth itself. The earth is alive. How many of us have a relationship with that?
But I'm sure you know too, when you were in school, you probably
Yeah.
just got, don't do drugs, they're bad.
Yeah.
So
I
like
got
the
the
education
dare.
had to, the education, and
I
it
really
has,
want a
but
dare t-shirt. by the
Education
way.
has to change big time. on
Mine
this.
has burn holes in it.
I really want. I'm gonna order one after the show. I
Mine,
want
mine
one.
has a bunch
The
of burn
conversation
holes
needs
in
to
it.
start, and it's not just us going into schools. It needs to be the family. The
So the-
family can't be afraid to talk
The
about
conversation
Yes.
does need to start around educating people, but here's the truth. At the end of the day, to education, what I know doesn't keep me sober. It's what I do. And what I do, the 12-step allows me to build connection. And that's what I really lack in my life. And as a society, we've become disconnected. So is the education piece, what do we do? What happens in that? You build connection.
this. Oh yeah.
You know?
After school,
We need
whatever the
we need more connection with
activities.
spiritual
Yeah.
beings.
No, and we need just stronger community supports.
Yeah.
It's everybody's just gone.
I feel like when you were in like high school too, like when you saw like cliques and you thought, oh, like the jocks, right? They have to drink. They're the drinkers. Like that shouldn't be a perception that we have for our kids. There should be this okay like perception when you're in school that like you don't have to do that kind of stuff to have fun. But I think there's just so many different techniques that you can use. But like you said, I think it's connection with people. People need to be, but that's where it gets frightening.
We're such a
I was playing in the
materialistic
dirt. I was
society.
playing in the dirt outside with like shovels when I was a kid. Now, like you said, they're all playing Xbox and they're all doing this. So
Tablets.
it's probably going to be a lot more
and
difficult.
suicide rates are getting higher, addiction rates are getting higher, mental illness rates are getting higher, everything's getting higher, and we're becoming more disconnected. You take a look at something like a simple foundation of a 12-step fellowship, right? Like, what does that provide? That provides connection through one another. Do I have a connection with a higher power at the beginning? No, but absolutely over time, as I connect with you, I learn to connect with self. As I connect with self, I realize that there's something greater than me happening, you know? That's why I'm a huge advocate for people to join these like recovery programs.
No, I 100% agree. I mean, it's just think about how much do you really know about the people that live around you?
Depending on who we're talking about.
No, but seriously, like I don't know my neighbors.
Yeah.
Oh God, no.
I don't
It means,
know.
like,
I don't-
actually
No.
living.
Yeah, the
No.
only people I know in the community are like people in the recovery community.
That's true, me too.
You
My
know,
neighbor brought
I-
my cat back once. That was really nice of her.
Well, I think sometimes we think that like only people in recovery are good people because we're so consumed by that. And
Yeah.
I've met some pretty solid non-recovery people.
It's all we know because we're told that
course.
those are the people that we need
I
to
also
hang out
live in a
with.
pretty questionable neighborhood, so I try to avoid my
Same.
You?
neighbors.
No way.
I do.
Same.
I do. You see the police on like in my apartment complex most nights. Yeah.
Well, then you're gonna be that walking.
I am the person that usually calls the cops.
Do you?
I have to. Like when things are getting questionable and unsafe outside, someone's going to be the person.
Yeah.
But you remember, like over the winter, there were 2 kids overdosed outside of my
Yeah,
house. Do you remember
I
that?
remember
And
that.
started, and my neighbors were like, "Oh, they've been like that for a while." And I was like, "You effing idiots!" I went off on the neighborhood. 2 kids just
Do you
overdosed.
have
hanging
Narcan
out.
at your place?
I do have Narcan, yeah, and they were just
carry it around everywhere, man.
hanging
Yeah, I keep it
outside
in my
their window.
briefcase.
And no one in my neighborhood, because my neighborhood is so used to minding their own business and staying in their own lane, that no one did anything to help those individuals. Granted, we were able to revive them, but it was a really scary situation.
Yeah.
So, that is your camera.
Hi.
Anyone watching, struggling, actually, first of all, let's start if it's a family member of a loved one and their loved one is struggling with substance use disorder. What do you have to say to the family? Because like your family got well before you. So what do you have to say to a family member who's watching this tonight and like their heart's broken because their loved one is struggling with this?
Well, from my experiences with families, because that's what I do a lot of family interventions now, is I tell them being a part, just like we get sober with our people, I say, you need to get into some type of networking or support with other parents that have been through it. Hopefully some parents that have made it through the other side and their kids sober, but it doesn't always have to be like that. So I first start with that, and then I kind of say it doesn't always hurt actually to be involved with someone like myself or another person in recovery, because we know now from being sober maybe what our loved one or our parents were doing that might have been more enabling. So I can teach these families that like, hey, you know what, my mother was doing that for me, and it actually, kind of, I don't want to say made me worse, but it
kept me going.
kept me going.
It's
kept
called
me
raising
going.
the bottom.
Right.
Let's raise the bottom, you know.
If I have a safety net, why am I going to be afraid?
Right.
Yeah. And then obviously, if it comes to that point where someone needs treatment or detox, obviously they know I'll do whatever it takes to help them get in somewhere. And then I don't, I follow everybody I help, I follow them through, and I'm always trying to check up. And then sometimes, when the kid gets sober, they're like, oh, you're always checking in with my parents. I said, hey, bro, it's not just, it's not just about you. I said, it's not just about you. I said, do you know what you did to your family for the past 10 years? I said, I'm helping them too. And their face is like, because I know what I did to my parents. I literally like destroyed them for years. So I don't want them to think they can just do that to their parents.
So we're out of time. So if you're struggling or you need any resources, reach out to Pat. Pat, what's a phone number someone can contact you at? Do you know it?
So I probably should know the 1-800 number, but just go online and Google Northeast Addictions Treatment Center and they'll help you.
Okay,
No
all
matter
right.
what, insurance, no insurance, they'll help you find somewhere.
If you're struggling or anything and you need to reach out to Pat, you can look him up on social media. You can message us on I am a heroin addict. You can shoot us a message and we can Bobby, myself, or if you want Pat's contact, we can send it to you. Thank you for watching, and as always, we love you.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.